Péter has taken his place, so we will finish our Central European round, and from Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, we are going through Hungary back to Germany with Péter, and Péter will present to us a presentation which is also tackling the FRBR problematic, and the title is FRBR from the perspective of book history, problems and suggestions. So Péter, wow, this is right.
How will be formed?
Perfect. Okay, so Péter, please, floor is yours.
Yes, and I should name my co-author, János Káldos, who is an independent researcher previously worked at the National Library of Hungary. So my feeling is that I will talk about things which is a mashup of today's talk. So there will be some repetition of what others have already said. I'm sorry about that. But I will talk about two models. One model is the FRBR, whatever we call it, and the other is the model of book history. And this model is rather maps the subtopics of what the book history is about. So what are the main actors, the main events, and so forth, which the book history is about. And the first wording of this model was created by Robert Downton, an American book historian, who listed the important actors around the life cycle of the book. So starting from the author, publisher, printers, shippers, booksellers, and then readers. This model has got lots of attentions, lots of feedbacks Downton gets, and 25 years later he republished, not republished, he published another article which reviewed the previous article, and he mentioned one critics, Adams and Baker, who made a modification of the model and made lots of details. Instead of actors, they concentrated on activities, but the life cycle is more or less the same. The only essential difference is the survival. So the history of book hasn't been finished when it gets to the reader, but after some time they have to survive. Okay, so this is the first model, and the other model is the FRBR model, which is much more complicated than we have heard so far. So there are lots of submodels, lots of modification, and these are only the most important ones. There are as many more which I haven't displayed here. I don't want to talk about the details. I just wanted to emphasize that the model itself is not yet ready. That's my impression. And there are lots of discussions, lots of use cases, and lots happening in this 25 years or even more, because the first guy who invented the model in the late 50s, so in the late 50s it was started. Okay, so what are the cooperation possibilities between these two models? I will give you only one example. There might be multiple ones, but it is very relevant for us here in Prague. So the question is, why are we sitting on the seacoast? And you might know that in Shakespeare, The Winter's Tale, it's very interesting fact that the plot, or one of the plots, are the seacoast of Bohemia. And yeah, we know from the literary studies that Shakespeare paraphrases another work which was written by Robert Greene. It was called Pandosto. It was not a drama, it was a pastoral. And yeah, the basic things, basic plots, activities, and characters has been appeared in this Pandosto work. Shakespeare changed a lot. One important point, which is reflected to previous presentations, that different FRBR models suggested links, connections between works, between expressions, and so forth. So it's not just a simple hierarchy. You can connect together different works. So, for example, here we can say that Shakespeare paraphrases Robert Greene. But where Robert Greene gets this strange idea that Bohemia has a seacoast, and the royal castle, nearby the royal castle, there's a haven where ships are lying and ready to travel. So there are multiple ideas. That's one of the hypotheses, that there's a Renaissance guy, a real Renaissance guy, lived in the Renaissance age, so it's not a 20th century people, Antonio Bonfini, who wrote a book about the Hungarian history, and he wrote a half sentence that part of Bohemia that looks towards the ocean. And the hypothesis is that Robert Greene read this sentence, but at the same time he misread it. So he said that he thought that, probably not knowing Bohemia, that it is near the ocean. So Antonio Bonfini, this work has been published in 2 languages. So there are 2 expressions, one in Latin and one in German. The Latin has been published 3 times. The German has been published 2 times. And Robert Greene happened to visit Cambridge University. He learned there. And when we checked the university libraries, we found that all the 3 Latin edition has items in Cambridge. Also, the same thing happens in Oxford. We don't know much detail. So when these books get to these libraries, maybe we can suppose that these books has been bought contemporary, but we don't really know. We know, on the other hand, that there's no German translation from these editions in these libraries still today. So we can suppose that Robert Greene read the Latin version and not the German version. And I'm very happy that we are sitting in this room, because we see these posters which talk about the divorce against Jan Hus. And this text is actually from a battle plan. And the emperor of the German Roman Empire created a battle plan in one of the conferences that Germans should invade the western part of Bohemia, and Hungarians should invade the eastern part of Bohemia. Piccolomini was also a Renaissance man. He became later Pope, Pius II, if I'm correct. And he wrote a book about these wars and the history of Bohemia, and he expressed himself simply to the West. And Bonfini, as another Renaissance man, would like to be more eloquent and more scholarly, so he translated or paraphrased it as that part of Bohemia that looks towards the ocean. So it's again paraphrases. Maybe we are not sure that Robert Greene read this, as again there are multiple hypotheses where this idea came from, but as far as I know, this is the only textual. So it is a trace of read, one type of source, philological or textual studies source. István Monok, a Hungarian researcher, set up a typology of other types of sources which are relevant for book history. It includes two large groups. One is inventories, different types of inventories, and non-inventory types sources. Of course, this type of evidence is a non-inventory type. I would like to show you 3 examples of different book history projects. We set up a database, and none of these reflect directly the VEMI or FRBR model, but inherently they have something. This one is Bibliotheca Eruditionis. They collected mainly book lists from 2 centuries from the early modern age in the Carpathian basis, so Hungary, Romania, etc. And this is their data model, and they have an item which are the description of the book in an inventory, and they try to detect what kind of editions it represents. The French Book Trading Enlightenment Europe database is one of the most well-known database. It is based on a single printing house, Neuchâtel Typographical Society. They had a prominent role in the French Enlightenment. And the peculiar thing is that their archive remained intact. And they have different types of materials. They have the inventory books, they have sales books, they have letters, and so forth. The main thing is that the database creator, not knowing the FRBR model, they invented a similar thing as the FRBR work. They call it Superbook. And they have the editions, of course, because this society was a publishing house, so they have very nice book descriptions, even if it's not fit to the 21st century models, but still very good and able to, we can use it to identify manifestations. And implicitly, they also have items. And the last one is the MEDIATE database. This is a Dutch-related, and within this group, we have some persons who are not here, but they work on it. Currently, they also have FRBR-like separation of information. They use work edition, and item. Okay, so there are multiple challenges, and some of them have been discussed by previous talks. The challenges of the identifiers, what kind of identifiers we should use. Of course, as every model doesn't fit perfectly to the reality, so every model is a kind of abstraction, and we should fit. We should abstracting our knowledge in order to fit into any kind of models. And there are lots of other models like the Mark EAD and Lido, etc., which are relevant for every book history project. We should use, as Nico mentioned, text similarity algorithms, clustering algorithms. Very important that we should handle the uncertainties. So, as we see in the Pandosto, that this reading is not certainty, and we should handle this kind of information. And also, we should build on the formal logic's open world assumption that we might have information which are not fit into the model, so we should be able to extend our model. And also in this model, there might be contradictory statements. So I would like to highlight some of these problems. First, the identifier problem. One of these large FRBR-based project is Share VDA. They create a union catalog based on some national libraries and some large American university libraries. The basic idea is to build a FRBR-based model. If we go not so deep, you can try to search your favorite authors. You can see that there are lots of problems. Like we have multiple Aristoteles, and we can see here that one Aristoteles born in 385, the other 384. They have different identifiers. However, we might be sure that they are the same persons. If we just pick one work of Aristoteles, De Anima, we might see different variations of the titles, and also these titles belong to different entities. And if we go deeper, we check only the third book of Anima, we still have problems. And maybe I should mention that neither of these elements in these two blocks are connected together. However, they are part of each other. Another problem is the cardinality problem. In library catalogs, usually you cannot describe objects which are not in the library. However, in the historical sense, we are working with objects which once probably existed. Right now, they are not existed or not in our hand. So we should, for example, we can assign that this books is owned by this person, but we cannot with the FRBR model or some of this variants of the model, we cannot express that once this person had this book. Another problem is granularity problem. In library perspective, this owns, the concept of ownership just connect two things. From historical perspective, the ownership has other dimensions, like when it was owned, where it was owned, what are the data sources which proves this ownership. what is the certainty of this ownership. And also, we might have knowledge about the level of the FRBR level of ownership. So we may know that this was an expression because it was the Latin version of the book, or we just know that it was a work, or even we know that this particular exemplar was owned by this person. The container problem, this is a general problem in multiple databases, that the object is described as a deep structure, and the level of information we provide bound to the top of the object. So we cannot tell exactly which information belongs to which part of the deep structure. This is an incunabula, and it is a container, so multiple books has been binded together, and the description tells main author and the main title. However, there are 4 books, and we know that only the name of the additional authors and the additional titles. We don't know which author belongs to which title and which this pair belongs to which book in the collection. And also this kind of containers sometimes work by itself in the FRBR model. So they are individual work created by a bookbinder and the owner, and they decide which sub-works should belong to them. And also they are subject of change, so sometimes, from time to time, they might be rebinded. In one of the FRBR model, FRBR 00, they provided a solution for this problem, but in the newest version, LRM 00, they removed it. I don't know why. So, what are the suggestions from this problem? One is investigation. So we, as a collective and individual researchers, we should know more about the FRBR model and other metadata in details. We should set up use cases like this PandaStore, which detects where are the boundaries of our models, what are the boundaries of these 2 world of models. And we should start dialogue like this event with these 2 community between the researchers and the cultural heritage institutions. And once we've done it, we might decide whether we're participating in the standardization. So we get closer to the FRBR models and tell them that your model is fine, but cannot be expressed our worldview. And also, we might extend this models and create a Bibliodata namespace where those properties and classes are defined, which cannot be expressed with the library model, and they don't need it, but we need it. The second one is data publication. So it's kind of mandatory, I guess, that researcher has to publish the data in order to exchange information with both other researchers and the libraries. So the libraries should need what is missing. It can be done in multiple ways, like micro-publication or traditional, not so traditional, but in this past years it became the tradition of data publication, or we can publish into the Google Cloud. And also on the research community level, we should coordinate the work of individual researcher, we might think of standardization. We might, on a larger level, create an infrastructure like maybe the DARIA would like. And also this infrastructure might contain an aggregation platform. So I can imagine a subpart of European or individual thing which aggregates information about book-related knowledge. And last but not least, sharing of data and make it available to each other. And this circles represents different interests. Libraries has interests which are not interesting for the researchers or the research community, but it is clear that there are common interests. And if we share the data, then others pick those parts which are inside the common interests. And in my ideal world, this makes a workflow of data where each one publish their own information, modify a little bit, move forward, add additional data, and share with others. So that's it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Time for questions. Mikko and Sylvia.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was wonderful, great research talk. So just to reflect, I mean, that when we are with this idea how important it is to, when we think about book history and we think about the catalogs and we want to cross them and book historians want to use catalogs and so forth. And then when we think about the further model and what the book historian most likely would like to do. So when we talk about like linking, let's say, Shakespeare and the publications in the 18th century, book historian would like to have the information that, well, whose edition it is. So you talk about Thomson's edition, and then you would like those to have mapped. Mm-hmm. And that's a really, I mean, if you think from the practical perspective, that's a difficult thing to do. So that you actually get those correctly, because there's all kinds of mutations and modifications and so forth. So it falls within the field of book history where it's being done. But are there, I mean, but it's a very, very simple thing what you want, what the book historians would like, and that would be then transferable also to the catalog, right?
Yes.
But where you start is not by doing the work that book historians are doing. But you should go to the book, or the librarians could go to the book history and then just extract that information and start building the base that then can be, you know, added more by text similarity and new work that comes about and so forth. But if we think about all the catalogs, they're always catalogs of catalogs of catalogs, more or less. So that like the in Fendica, there's really, really good descriptions of the dissertations in 17th century oral. But that's because one historian did all the work and that was just lifted there and put there. The similar information in Swedish catalogs are not there because they're, you know, this hasn't been done. So the point that I wanted to make is that when we talk about the work that people in the libraries are doing and what the researchers are doing, and we think about a lot about automation and new things that can be done, that is very, very good thing. But then also that are the librarians doing what they used to do? You know, go to the research and take that information and add it. So to like build the knowledge that is needed. So I, for example, back to the Shakespeare in 18th century, so as a book historian, if you know that in early 18th century, Shakespeare was published many times, but you're unable to see that one is by Lintot and another one is by Thomson, and they are in a huge fight with each other so that they're saying that the other ones are not publications at all, because if it's mine, I mean, that this is the right one. So there you need the information that whose publication it is. But, and that's the kind of thing that if we have systematic information, That I think benefit everybody. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is my suggestion that traditionally book historians publish books, even data. He did not create any database. I know, but I'm not aware of that he published any database. He published books and papers, and it is not easy to extract information from them by the library. So that's why I propose that we should have a standard data model or something like that, and publish the data which is extractable by the librarian.
Thank you. Sylvia?
Yeah, I think it's kind of related. So I was just wondering, because we don't have infinite resources, as Jose said, and nor infinite time, what would you say is the long-hanging fruit? Like, what would be the easiest thing to start with from your 3 suggestions? Like, which one do you see that is the most doable, so to say?
Yeah, I think that the most doable thing is that to kind of transfer or remodel those existing databases of the book history, which are already there, and but they usually not downloadable, not accessible with API, or in some proprietary data structure which not fits to the library. So maybe this transformation would be the first step, and or documentation maybe even.
Another question? And then please, is there some question in the chat? Because my computer is out of capacity of the battery. I cannot monitor the chat online. Okay, it's 5:05. We have expected intensive session, but the session was much more intensive than we expected, and we can imagine. So maybe I will be unpolite and I will not open the general discussion, because I think that all of us are quite tired, and tactically Ondřej was, he has to answer some call. It was non-accident. So I would like to thank you all. I would like to thank all of the speakers for today's session. I would like to thank the online guests, and the official part of today's workshop is finished at the moment, so please we can say goodbye to our online colleagues. And to those of you who will be there or who are there in person, please, I have 3 points at the moment. The one point is that we would like to shoot a general photo of the participants, so please, it's 5:05. Let us meet at 5:15 at the courtyard, and we will make a photo. In between, please take any refreshment which is there, and we have to eat everything.
You have only 9 minutes for that.
You have 9 minutes to eat everything. Tomorrow there will be a next round of the refreshment, and then please we would like to invite you all to the restaurant for a joint dinner. The restaurant is quite in the neighborhood. I have sent you already to the email the address. If you want to go as a joint group, you can meet us at the courtyard at 6:45. If not, you have the address at your emails, and you can join us there. So that's the last information from me. If you would like to leave your things here in between, it is possible, because I will close the room, and you can pick it up before that 6:45. Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot for everything. Please.